Ready to transform your life? Let's get started with Inspired by Tony Robbins. Here we believe in the power of daily progress and mindset shifts. Greatness doesn't start loud, it starts tiny. From life-changing habits to motivational stories, we break it down so it's real and doable. Hit subscribe, join the movement, and remember, you don't need a giant leap, just one tiny, powerful step at a time.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's stop for a moment. Close your eyes just for a second and think about this. What do you really want in life? Not what others expect from you, not what society pushes on you. What do you want? What goal wakes you up at night? What dream makes your heart race and your skin tingle? Now open your eyes, because today we're not here to play small. We're here to get laser focused, not scattered, not distracted, not half in, half out. We're here to focus on your goals like your life depends on it, because guess what? It does. When it comes to achieving goals and creating real transformation in life, few things are more powerful than clarity. Clarity is not just about having a vague sense of direction. It's about knowing exactly where you're going, why you're going there, and what steps will take you there. Without clarity, energy gets scattered, focus gets diluted, time gets wasted, people stay busy but they don't make real progress. They chase 10 things and catch none, but with clarity, everything changes. Your decisions become faster, your actions become purposeful, and your results become exponential. Think about it, your mind is like a heat-seeking missile. If you give it a precise target, it will adjust, adapt, and relentlessly move toward it. But if the target is blurry, it gets lost in midair. Most people don't fail because they lack ability, they fail because they never clearly define what they want. They say things like, I want to be successful, or I want to be happy, or I want to be rich. But those are wishes, not goals. Success in what? Happy how? Rich by doing what? Until your goals are specific and measurable, they remain fantasy. Real clarity means stripping away all the fluff and locking in on what truly matters. When you're clear on what you want, you begin to filter your environment differently. You stop saying yes to things that don't align. You start spotting opportunities that were always there but invisible to an unclear mind. Your brain, once distracted, now acts like a guided missile. You begin to move with confidence, not hesitation. And when obstacles show up, and they always do, you don't freeze. You navigate through them because you're anchored in purpose. Let's bring this to life with a short example. Imagine two people set out to lose weight. The first person says, I want to get in shape. That sounds good, but what does that even mean? To one person, it might mean losing 50 pounds. To another, it means running a marathon. To another, it might mean gaining muscle. So this first person wanders from diet to diet, workout to workout, unsure if they're on track or not. They make some effort but don't see results, and eventually they quit. Now the second person says, I want to lose 20 pounds in 12 weeks by working out 4 times a week and eating a high-protein, low-carb diet. That's clarity, that's specific, that's actionable. And because of that clarity, they know exactly what to eat, how to move, when to check their progress, and how to adjust if they stall. They're more likely to stay consistent, motivated, and driven. And if they fall off one day, they know exactly how to bounce back, because they're not lost. This difference in clarity creates a massive difference in outcomes. Clarity doesn't guarantee that the journey will be easy, but it gives your brain a map, and when the mind has a map, it stops panicking. You stop asking, what should I do, and start asking, what's the next step? That simple shift in thinking creates momentum, and momentum, once created, is a force more powerful than motivation alone. So if you want to level up your life, don't just work harder. First, get clear. Write your goal down in such precise detail that even a stranger could read it and understand what you're aiming for. Define what success looks like. Define what failure means. Define your timeline. Define your why. Once you do that, the noise fades, the excuses shrink, and the path becomes visible. When it comes to achieving meaningful goals, one of the most powerful principles you can live by is the idea of burning the boat. It means committing so deeply to your objective that you remove any possibility of turning back. There's no backup plan. There's no retreat. You've made a decision, and now the only direction is forward. This mindset isn't about being reckless. It's about forcing yourself to go all in, to raise your standards, and to demand more from yourself when it matters most. Most people fail to reach their goals, not because they don't have the talent or resources, but because they give themselves too many exits, too many escape hatches. They dip their toes in the water, test the temperature, and then wonder why they never make waves. But success doesn't respond to hesitation. It responds to total commitment. And when you leave yourself a way out, you almost always take it the moment things get uncomfortable. Burning the boats is a metaphor, but it comes from real history. In 1519, Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés arrived in the New World with a mission to conquer the Aztec Empire. After landing on the shores of Mexico, he gave an order that shocked his men: burn the ships. There was no turning back. Their only options were to move forward and succeed or perish. And that's exactly what they did. Despite being vastly outnumbered, they fought harder, thought smarter, and stayed relentlessly focused because they had no choice. They had removed all safety net. That same intensity is what you must bring to your goals. If you want to build your dream business, lose weight, change your life, write a book, move to a new country, whatever it is, you cannot dabble. You cannot try and see how it goes. You must decide that it's happening. And then you make decisions and take actions that reflect that level of seriousness. Think of it like this. Imagine two people trying to start their own businesses. One keeps their day job, takes a course, half commits for 6 months, and is always saying, "I'll give it a try." The other person sets a deadline, quits their job after planning, invests their savings, and tells everyone they know that this is their future. Who do you think will succeed faster, not just out of pressure, but out of full immersion? The one who gave themselves no exit, the one who burned the boats. Here's a real-world example. A young woman named Sarah had always dreamed of becoming a professional photographer. For years, she worked a corporate job, took photos on the weekends, and told herself she would go full-time someday. But someday never came. She was stuck between her comfort zone and her calling. Then one day she made a bold decision. She quit her job, sold her second car, and used the money to launch her photography business. She had no steady paycheck anymore, no fallback. But what she did have was drive, time, and focus like never before. Within a year, she was not only surviving, she was thriving. Her calendar was booked with clients. Her work was featured in local galleries, and she finally felt alive. Why? Because she committed fully. She burned the boat. This is what happens when you remove the exit signs. You stop negotiating with your fear. You stop second-guessing yourself. You rise to meet the pressure, and you become the version of you that the goal demands. It doesn't mean you won't feel fear or doubt. It means you'll have no place to hide from it. So you deal with it. You grow. You get creative. You dig deeper, and you win. Most people wait for motivation to strike before they take action. They believe that once they feel ready, once the stars align, once the inspiration hits, they'll finally get started. But that mindset is a trap, because motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the weather. One day you feel unstoppable. The next you can't even get out of bed. If you rely on motivation, you'll live your life in starts and stops. Bursts of energy followed by long periods of inaction. Success doesn't work like that. Progress doesn't wait for perfect timing. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's showing up day after day, rain or shine, tired or energized, excited or bored. Discipline isn't flashy. It's not Instagrammable. It's not sexy, but it is the foundation of everything extraordinary. Because the truth is, the people you admire, the athletes, the entrepreneurs, the artists, the leaders, they aren't superhuman. They just made a choice. They chose to stop negotiating with themselves. They chose consistency over comfort. They chose discipline over motivation. Think about it. Motivation is an emotion. It's driven by mood. Discipline is a decision. It's driven by commitment. You don't need to feel motivated to go to the gym. You need to go because it aligns with your goal. You don't need motivation to sit down and study, write, build, or create. You just need to make a decision. This is who I am. This is what I do. When discipline becomes part of your identity, it no longer matters how you feel in the moment. You just do the work. Here's the beautiful part. Discipline creates momentum, and momentum creates results. The more consistent you are, the better you get. And the better you get, the more confident you feel. That confidence often reignites motivation. But now it's not random. It comes from seeing yourself follow through. Discipline turns dreams into habits, and habits into outcomes. That's where transformation happens. Let me give you a short example. There's a young writer named Sarah. She dreams of publishing a novel. Every time she feels inspired, she writes a few pages. But weeks go by without touching the keyboard. Her passion is real, but her consistency is missing. Then one day she makes a new rule for herself. I will write 500 words every single day, no matter what. No more waiting for inspiration. No more negotiating. Just 500 words. At first it's hard. Some days the words flow. Other days they don't. but she sticks with it. Day after day, week after week. In a few months, the pages stack up. By the end of the year, she finishes her novel, not because she was constantly inspired, but because she was relentlessly disciplined. Her dream didn't need motivation, it needed structure, commitment, and follow-through. That's the lesson. If you want to change your life, stop waiting to feel ready. Take action, build the habit, stick to your routine, train your mind to follow through, regardless of how you feel. The real magic isn't in the moments when it's easy. It's in the moments when it's hard, and you show up anyway. That's when character is forged. That's when success is born. Discipline isn't the enemy of freedom. It's the source of it. Because when you master yourself, there's nothing you can't do. If you want to achieve something extraordinary, the very first thing you must understand is that clarity is power. Too many people live with foggy desire. They say things like, I want to be successful, or I want to be happy, but those aren't goals, they're feelings. You need precision. You need to define exactly what success looks like for you. Is it earning a certain income, launching your own business, running a marathon? Until you get clear on what the target is, your brain can't organize the energy and focus needed to hit it. Imagine getting in a car without a destination. How far would you go? Now picture setting the GPS with an exact address. That's the difference clarity makes. Take Sarah for example. She used to say, I want to get healthy, but nothing changed for years. Then one day she defined her goal. I will lose 20 pounds in 4 months by exercising 5 days a week and tracking every meal. Within a week, her mindset shifted. That clarity gave her a roadmap. Within 3 months she exceeded her goal. But clarity without commitment is like fire without fuel. That's why you must burn the boats. When you give yourself a way out, you will take it. Human nature resists discomfort. So unless you're fully in, no escape routes. You won't go the distance. Burning the boats means cutting off the option of failure. It's a mindset. I'm all in. This must work. Centuries ago, a general landed his troops on enemy shores and ordered the ships burned. His message was clear: we win or we die. That kind of intensity focuses the mind and ignites performance. Consider David, a man who hated his job and dreamed of starting a digital marketing agency. For years he planned, read books, took courses, but kept working the same night. One day he finally resigned, took the leap and told everyone, I'm launching my agency. There's no backup plan. The fear was real, but so was the fire. In 1 year he built a 6-figure business. It happened because he made quitting impossible. Of course, to follow through, you can't rely on feelings. You need to understand that discipline beats motivation every time. Motivation is temporary. It's like a sugar rush. It feels good, but it fades. Discipline is a muscle. It's the habit of doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. High performers aren't always excited. They're consistent. They act according to purpose, not emotion. Picture Maria, an aspiring writer. For years she said she wanted to publish a novel, but inspiration came and went, and the book never happened. Then she decided to write every day at 6 a.m. No excuses, rain or shine, inspired or not. She sat and wrote. Some days were magical, others were hard, but within 6 months her manuscript was finished. Her success came, not from bursts of creativity, but from unshakable discipline. To make all of this work though, you must also eliminate distractions. Focus is a finite resource. Every ping, notification, and pointless conversation steals from your goal. You have to protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. That means setting boundaries, scheduling deep work, and cutting toxic people and habits that drain you. Imagine Tom, who was trying to grow his online store, but every evening he'd get lost in scrolling social media, gaming or chatting for hours. Once he realized he was wasting 20+ hours a week, he made a hard rule: no screens after 8 p.m., only 1 hour of social media per day, and strict time blocks for business. Within 90 days his focus skyrocketed, and so did his sales. By removing noise, he created space for results. Focusing on your goals is not just about dreaming big. It's about building the mental and emotional muscle to pursue what matters most, no matter the circumstance. When you get crystal clear on what you want, your brain starts filtering out distractions and locking in on opportunities. Clarity is like flipping on the headlights in a dark forest. Everything becomes easier to navigate. The clearer your goals, the more precise your action. Imagine an archer aiming for a target in the fog. No matter how skilled they are, they'll miss. But clear away the fog, and suddenly the target is right there. Bold, sharp, and hittable. That's what clarity does for your goal. One young entrepreneur wrote down exactly how much money he wanted to earn, the kind of business he would build, and even what kind of clients he would work with. Within 2 years, his life began to match the vision almost perfectly. Not because of magic, but because he trained his mind to see only what mattered and ignore what didn't. Next comes the most brutal and beautiful truth. Motivation fades, but discipline lasts. Waiting until you feel ready is a guaranteed way to stay stuck. Discipline means showing up when it's boring, when it's hard, when no one is clapping. Think about someone training for a marathon. It's not the big race that builds their power. It's those 5 a.m. runs in the cold rain. They don't always want to do it, but they've made a decision. This goal matters more than comfort. And when that decision becomes part of your identity, discipline becomes automatic. One student I met studied every night while working a full-time job. She wasn't motivated every evening, but she had made a promise to her future self. That promise was worth more than any excuse. But focus requires removing what's in the way. Distractions are dream killers. Dressed in entertainment, whether it's social media, gossip, or even just too many options, pulling your attention. You have to be ruthless about what you allow in your environment. Distraction doesn't always look dangerous. It often feels relaxing, even harmless. But over time, these moments add up and steal you. A young man once decided to delete every app from his phone that didn't serve his top 3 goals. He found that in just 1 week his productivity doubled, and more importantly, he felt clear-headed and calm for the first time in years. That's the power of subtraction. When you eliminate noise, you hear your own vision loud and clear. Another crucial piece of the puzzle is visualization. Your brain can't distinguish between imagination and reality when a vision is emotionally charged. So why not use that to your advantage? See your goal, smell it, hear it, feel it. Olympic athletes do this before every major performance. They mentally rehearse crossing the finish line, the crowd cheering, the taste of victory. It wires the mind to believe, to expect, and then to pursue. One young musician struggling with stage fright used visualization every night, picturing herself on stage, confident, powerful, and expressive. Within months, the fear faded and her performances skyrocketed. That mental movie trained her body how to act even before she stepped on stage. Finally, success is rarely a solo journey. Your environment matters more than you think. The people around you either lift you up or weigh you down. Being the most driven person in a circle of complainers won't help you grow. It'll drain you. Surround yourself with people who stretch your thinking, who don't tolerate excuses, who are chasing their own excellence. I knew a man who joined a mastermind group with others who were years ahead in his industry. At first he felt like an imposter, but within a year, just by being in that high-performance environment, his income tripled and his self-worth soared. He didn't just adopt new strategies, he adopted a new standard. One of the biggest mistakes people make when chasing their goals is failing to measure their progress. They work hard, stay busy, and put in effort, but they have no real idea if they're actually moving forward. That's like sailing without a compass. You might be moving fast, but in the wrong direction. If you want to truly succeed, you must become obsessed with tracking your progress. This isn't about being a perfectionist. It's about becoming precise, because progress isn't accidental, it's intentional, and the only way to keep it intentional is to measure what matters. When you track your actions, your results, your time, and your growth, you start to notice patterns. You realize what's working, what's wasting your time, and where you're making the most impact. That kind of insight gives you power, the power to pivot, to adapt, to optimize. Without data, you're operating blind. With it, you're sharpening your edge. Let's say your goal is to get fit. You hit the gym, you eat healthy. Some days, you work hard when you feel like it, but a few weeks go by and you're frustrated. No visible results. Why? Because you never tracked anything.
You didn't log your workouts. You didn't record what you ate. You never measured your weight, body fat, or strength levels, so you don't know whether you're improving or stagnating. And worse, you feel discouraged, which leads to quitting. Now imagine you approach it differently. Before your first workout, you take a photo, write down your weight, and you start using a fitness app to track your food, your sleep, your steps. Every week you measure again. Suddenly, you see it. You've gone from 10 push-ups to 20. Your waist is 2 inches smaller. You're lifting heavier. Those numbers speak louder than motivation. They give you undeniable proof. You're making progress, and that becomes addictive. That feeling of visible, measurable improvement fuels you more than any speech or motivational video ever could. This applies to every area of life. Your business, your finances, your personal growth. You want to build a business. Don't just work hard. Track the number of sales calls you make, how many emails you send, how many clients you close. Track your revenue, your conversions, your expenses. Look at the trends. Where are you gaining momentum? What days are most productive? What actions lead to the best results? That data is gold. It tells you where to double down and where to cut the waste. There's a reason successful people, elite athletes, top CEOs, master performers, track everything, because they understand one simple truth. What gets measured, gets improved. You can't master what you don't monitor. And in today's world, where distractions are everywhere, tracking is what brings clarity. It's what keeps your eyes locked on the target, while the rest of the world chases shiny objects. The goal isn't to be rigid, it's to be aware. You don't need to obsess over every detail, but you do need to know your numbers, because numbers don't lie. Emotions can trick you. You might feel like you're doing enough, but the data might say otherwise. On the other hand, when you're feeling low and doubting yourself, the numbers might show that you're actually crushing it, and that's exactly the fuel you need to keep going. The people around you shape your future more than you realize. We often talk about discipline, mindset, and hustle, but let's be real. If you're surrounded by people who don't believe in anything, who mock your ambition, who always play it safe, and who call your goals unrealistic, then you're in a battle with your own environment. And when your environment pulls you down, even the strongest mindset begins to crack. That's why this point is not just important, it's vital. You must surround yourself with fire. Fire means people who are hungry, people who talk about vision, growth, and ideas, not gossip, excuses, and complaints. People who don't get jealous of your progress, but push you further because they want you to win, just as much as they want to win themselves. When you're around that kind of energy, it changes your identity. You stop shrinking, you stop doubting, you start rising, you feed off their momentum, you start thinking bigger, acting faster, and demanding more of yourself, because the standards around you are high. You've got to protect your circle, like your future depends on it, because it does. Think about it. If you wanted to be a world-class athlete, would you train with lazy amateurs, or other elite athletes, who challenge you every single day? If you wanted to become financially free, would you take advice from people who are broke, or those who've built real wealth, and walked the path you want to follow? The answer's obvious, but we don't always apply it. Too many people stay stuck, because they're afraid to outgrow their circle. But here's the truth. Outgrowing people doesn't mean you're better than them. It means you're being pulled towards something greater, and you owe it to yourself to follow that pull. Let's bring it to life with an example. There was a young man named Javed who wanted to start a digital business. He had big dreams, but his friends constantly laughed at him. Why not just get a normal job, they'd say. That's safer. Don't waste your time. Every time he talked about his vision, they rolled their eyes. After a while, Javed started second-guessing himself. He stopped working on his ideas. He felt stuck and uninspired. Then something changed. He attended a weekend workshop where he met a group of entrepreneurs, people just like him, who had ideas and were already turning them into reality. They shared their wins, their failures, their lessons. They gave him honest feedback and encouragement. In just 2 days, He felt more alive than he had in 6 months. He started texting with them regularly, joined a mastermind group, and made a decision to spend less time with his old circle and more time with people who made him feel like his dreams were possible. Within a year, Javid launched his business. He wasn't just inspired, he had accountability, support, and momentum. That's what fire does. It ignites you from within. You've got to find your fire. Join communities, go to events, connect with people who are on the same path or further ahead. Read the books they read, listen to the podcasts they listen to. Let their passion and energy become contagious. Because when your circle believes in growth, you grow. When they take action, you take action. When they expect greatness from themselves, you expect it from yourself too. To truly focus on your goals, you need to begin with absolute clarity. You can't chase shadows and expect results. Imagine trying to hit a target in pitch black. You'll always miss. The same goes for your goal. If you don't define what success looks like in exact terms, how will you know when you've achieved it? Let's say someone says, I want to be rich. That's vague. But if they say, I want to earn $100,000 a year from my own graphic design business in the next 18 months, now that's clear. Clarity creates focus, and focus drives consistent action. Once you've defined your goal, you must commit with everything you've got. That means burning the boats, eliminating the option of retreat. Throughout history, warriors have burned their own ships to remove the option of surrender. With no way back, the only direction is forward. In your life, that might mean quitting distractions, cold turkey, or refusing to entertain old limiting beliefs. For example, someone who wants to lose weight might cancel their junk food subscriptions or stop buying soft drinks altogether. It's a symbolic but powerful act that tells your brain, we're all in. Many people wait for motivation to strike before they act. That's a losing strategy. Motivation is temporary, and it disappears the moment things get uncomfortable. Discipline, on the other hand, is the backbone of goal achievement. It's what keeps you moving when you're tired, busy, or uninspired. Think of the athlete who wakes up at 5 a.m. to train even when it's raining, cold, and their bed feels warm. That's discipline. They do it because the goal is more important than comfort. If you want results, you must learn to act without waiting to feel like it. Equally important is cutting away distraction. Your focus is precious, but today, it's under constant attack from notifications, social media, gossip, and irrelevant noise. Every time you pause your work to scroll or reply to nonsense, you're breaking your mental flow. To stay on target, build an environment where distractions can't easily reach you. For example, someone writing a book might use an app that blocks the internet during writing hours, or turn off their phone entirely. These small actions protect your time and energy. Visualization is a secret weapon most people never use. When you consistently picture your success, how it looks, feels, and sounds, your brain begins to believe it's possible. That belief pulls you forward. Picture a student who dreams of becoming a pilot. Every night before sleeping, he imagines sitting in the cockpit, flying over cities, hearing the radio call signs. That mental rehearsal becomes fuel for his daily study and discipline. The mind, when programmed with vision, becomes relentless. But dreaming alone isn't enough. You must track progress. What gets measured gets improved. When you monitor your steps, you can adjust, optimize, and stay motivated. If a person wants to save money, they don't just hope. They track every expense. Every week, seeing progress builds momentum, and momentum builds belief. You also need the right people around you. Your environment shapes your energy, your habits, and your standards. If you're surrounded by people who make excuses, you'll adopt their mindset. But if you're around those who take action, you rise with them. Imagine a young entrepreneur who joins a group of ambitious freelancers. Suddenly, their standards increase, Deadlines become non-negotiable, and excuses feel out of place. That's the power of proximity. Listen, this isn't about setting goals for the sake of it. This is about creating a life that makes you proud to wake up every morning. A life that reflects who you are at your core, not who you're pretending to be. Focus is a weapon. Your goal is the target. And today is the day you stop aiming randomly and start taking direct, unstoppable shots. Because here's the truth. You are powerful. You are capable. And if you focus, commit, and refuse to quit, there's nothing you can't achieve. Now get out there and dominate.
One tiny, powerful step at a time.